Hey everyone, welcome back. Erica here with another one. Now in this video, what I wanted to go over was some of the myths and facts about narcissism. Before I do, I first want to welcome anyone who's new to the channel. If you have not yet, please be sure to subscribe. If you've gone through any of my content and it's been helpful for you, please subscribe, as I do update my content very frequently. All right, and to all my returning subscribers, welcome back. So in this video, what I want to talk about are some of the myths and facts about narcissism. Okay, a lot of us have our ideas, a lot of us have our experiences, and a lot of us have our opinions on it. But the reality of it is that there are certain myths that need to be debunked in order to properly understand narcissism and, of course, what it pertains to. Now, we know that no two people are the same. So needless to say, no two narcissists are the same either. Now, I've gone over the different types of narcissists, and I do have a video on my channel in regards to the main categorical types with the subtypes of narcissists, okay? You may be dealing with a particular type of narcissist, but, you know, the next person may be dealing with another one. So you may be dealing with an invulnerable one. That next person may be dealing with a vulnerable one, or the other person may be dealing with a covert narcissist. Another person may be dealing with an overt narcissist. They're not all the same. They don't all act the same. They don't all represent one particular type of narcissist. Every single one of them are different, and every single one of them fall on different scales of the spectrum. So we have to take that into account. Now, narcissism isn't new. Okay. In fact, Freud invented the study of narcissism. Okay. The research behind it, because in that time it was so blatant. It was just so common. And of course, at that time, it was more of a superficial level of it, because we correlate narcissists with being, you know, egocentric and self-absorbed and, you know, pretty much conceited and just all about themselves. But as time went on, other studies, other psychologists, other theorists have actually seen the pathological issues with narcissism. Okay, so it goes from being a superficial, I'm better than the world and I'm just, you know, so enamored with myself, to having pathological issues appear. And now the psychology has really embraced the research of narcissism, because it went from just being a personality issue to actually becoming a mental illness. Okay, it has fallen under the dark triad that I have given to you guys before, which is Machiavellianism, the tendency to manipulate, psychopathy, mental illness, which is the lack of remorse and empathy, okay, and sociopathy. So though we have our thoughts on everything, it's actually considered to be a severe mental illness. This is all based on studies, clinical studies. This is based on research. This is based on so much. And yeah, we have our opinions on it, because we have gone through certain situations with people that either suffer from narcissistic personality disorder or are full-blown narcissists, but we have to make sure we understand. But just understand, I'm not encouraging reconnection with a narcissist, nor am I encouraging any type of, for you to get back into that dynamic with anyone who is a narcissist or has NPD. Purpose of this video is just to give a little bit more of an in-depth understanding as to what it is that you have endured and what it is that they embody. Okay, so just take this as at least now I know. And at least I know what to look for in the future if I need to. But this is not in any way, shape, or form encouraging anyone to go back into that dynamic, which is highly, highly toxic. Because mental illness or not, and I don't pass judgment on anybody, but mental illness or not, you really have to put yourself first, especially if you already endured it and you are still healing from it. So just keep that in mind. But without further ado, we're just going to get into it. And one of the things that people often do is they correlate someone with a specific type of personality disorder. Okay, and if you notice in one of my previous videos, is it narcissism or something else? Just because someone displays certain types of traits does not necessarily make them a narcissist. Now, if they do have certain type of narcissistic traits, they may have other personality disorders that counter those traits. Okay, and psychologists who study personality and psychopathology, they encourage us not to just call someone flat out a narcissist, especially if we don't know for sure that they are in fact a narcissist. So if you have someone who displays schizophrenic behavior, you're going to automatically say, oh, you're a schizo, but it could be also something else. Just because they have certain traits doesn't necessarily make them what someone or people would assume them to be. Okay, people who have narcissism or people who suffer from NPD, they fall under different degrees. They fall under different scales. Remember, it's a spectrum. There are different highs, lows. It has to be diagnosed by a medical professional. Okay, but the one thing that we can be reassured on is that narcissists, though they claim they don't have a problem, as probably with anyone with a personality disorder, you can be assured that a lot of them are not going to try to go for help, because you won't go for help for a problem that you think does not exist. Now, this falls along the lines of the types of narcissists that demonstrate superiority, okay? That grandiose sense of superiority. That's why a lot of people think that narcissists feel that they are superior to others, because you have grandiose narcissists that have no problem showing the world that I'm better than you, I deserve all the attention, I deserve everything that comes my way. But you have also narcissists that are vulnerable. You have vulnerable narcissists where they feel it. They feel like they are somewhat better than other people and even misunderstood by other people, but they don't show it. In fact, vulnerable narcissists are so afraid of even the slightest criticism, as gentle as it may be, that can literally just make them fall apart on the inside, that they even shy away from attention. They get panicked. And when it comes to a vulnerable narcissist, they, not unlike any other narcissist, they do feel that sense of I'm better than you, but they don't display it. They don't put it on display. And with that same breath, they fear criticism. They fear, it sounds like an oxymoron. They feel they're better than you, but they fear criticism because, in my personal opinion, they feel deep down inside that they're really not. But they have to instill it in their brain that they are. They have to feel like they are special, that they, have something that most people can't understand, so they must be special. I think that falls under the lines of inverted narc. Now, narcissists can form a relationship with people, okay? And if we learn about covert narcissists, overt narcissists, vulnerable and invulnerable, we've learned that they do certain things to try to form a relationship, but they are unable to sustain the relationships. This is why the whole discard phase comes in there, because first and foremost, narcissists have a weak underlying sense of themselves. Okay, so when you're dealing with a narcissist, they will give you what it is that you think that they are giving to you from here. They will give you what it is that you want, but in return, they do want something in return for doing that. So they are able to create relationships. They're just not able to sustain them for a long period of time. Okay, because either one, you're seeing through their psyche, you're seeing their weaknesses, and they can't allow that. That can't happen. To them, they have to make sure that no one ever even suspects that they have a weakness. 2, they manage to obtain new supply, exciting supply somewhere else, and they've pretty much gotten what they wanted from you at that point in time, and now it's on to the next thing. Okay, so though they can create relationships with people, whether it's through manipulation, whether it's through, any type of tactic, at the end of the day, they can't sustain them. Even the most grandiose narcissists, the ones that are very out there and flashy and just appealing at first sight, doesn't happen. Now, people hear the word narcissism and they find it to be extremely bad and taboo, and it's just, oh no, I can't have narcissism. Pathological narcissism is a very form of being egocentric, extremely egocentric, having an extremely inflated ego, feeling that you are superior, that you are more entitled, and you can do and say whatever it is that you want to get what you want out of anyone, and no one dare contest that. Okay, that you feel that you're more special than anyone else. And when you walk into the room, you command the attention. You have to be in the spotlight. You have to do certain things to obtain supply from other people. That's pathological narcissism. Having high self-confidence, feeling good about yourself, and demonstrating, showing that you have self-love. There's nothing wrong with that. And pathological narcissism is developed from a sense of weakness and inferiority. People who are pathological narcissists are basically trying to overly compensate for what it is that they really feel internally about themselves. Then, needless to say, there is a healthy dosage of narcissism when you are projecting self-love, where you are projecting confidence. A lot of people misconstrue that when you have someone who puts up a couple of selfies or feels good about themselves, that's a narcissist. No, it's not. It's not. It's someone who actually has that self-confidence. But needless to say, a lot of you are smart. You can decipher the two. Narcissists suffer from empathy deficit disorder, which in layman's terms means they lack empathy. Now, if you've dealt with a narcissist and they have demonstrated what you perceived to be empathy, that's because they know how to fake it. You heard the term fake it till you make it, right? Narcissists can fake empathy, okay? What you generally feel in your heart, a narcissist processes up here. And they basically gather the components, they put it together, they create the formula, and then they go about it. You got to remember, narcissists have years of experience with this, so they already know how to demonstrate empathy. Narcissists are very good actors, extremely good actors. So what you think is truly real, what you think is truly coming from their heart, it's coming from what they think they need to do in order to appease you. Okay? They can cry, but those are also known as crocodile tears. Okay? And if they're really good at what they do, they can really, really convince you that they're feeling. They can convince you that they are emotionally in tune with you. That's all manipulation. Okay, and much like I've explained in my other videos, when it comes to it, they can be triggered by their own trauma. And in some cases, they're still thinking about themselves. So even if they're hurting or whatever the case may be, it's more or less something that has happened with them, not necessarily the emotions or the feelings that they have at that point in time with you. They're not empathizing with you. Now, I said this countless times. Narcissists are not born. They are created, okay? Certain factors may enhance narcissism. certain familial factors, mental health issues that run in the family may enhance narcissism. But narcissism is a behavioral disorder. It is something that is taught to someone. If the child does not have a secure attachment with their parents, and their parents are pretty much demonstrating transactional love, whereas you do something for me, I will then do something for you, and you will perceive that as being love. Okay? Parents who are narcissists and have children will fend for their children on a materialistic level. But since they lack empathy, they will not be able to emotionally bond with their children, which is the one thing that the children need, is that emotional bonding. They will present to the world that they do for their kids. They will present to the world that they're the world's greatest parent. But behind those closed doors is something totally different. And all the parent is doing is creating a very unstable environment for the child, where the child could either become a narcissist themselves or become a codependent, depending on how that child really internalizes that psychological and emotional abuse. So to say that you're born a narcissist is incorrect, because it is something that you have lived with in your environment. It's something that you have been created to become. This could be farthest from the truth. Okay? Narcissists are actually internally insecure people. They fear abandonment, they fear rejection, they fear criticism. And much like I stated earlier, they overcompensate. So what they're showing you, what they're presenting to you is all a facade. It's a mask. They feel they have to appease everyone else. They feel that they have to appeal to everyone else. And in return, they're getting their validation because people are giving the attention. People are giving them praise. People are giving them the one thing they wanted most from their parents. They fear abandonment. They fear rejection because their parents abandoned them. Their parents rejected them. And it doesn't have to be physically, but it can be. They abandoned and rejected them emotionally and mentally, which is the reason why a narcissist cannot sustain relationships with other people. They find it hard to create that attachment because the attachment that they had with their parents, which was a very pretty much severed one, they're unable to do that with other individuals. They're unable to emotionally attach, mentally attach, and really just, show, have that appreciation within a relationship with someone who is completely empathetic, caring, kind, loving, and giving. So it all boils down to the environment. It boils down to what it is they've endured with their parents. And it's really sad. It really truly is. And even for codependents, because codependents have endured that same type of, misalignment with their parents. Fact of the matter is, pathological narcissism can be overcome, okay? But the narcissist can't be in denial. All right. This stems from their attachment to their parents. All right. You didn't create the narcissist. I didn't create him. We didn't create him. It was based on the environment and the attachment style with their caregivers. So because their caregivers did not give them the proper attachment that they needed, so when they grow up in the world and they go into their adulthood, they know how to properly attach to other people. This is what it resorted to. Okay, but they have to want to get the help. They have to want to go and get the extensive therapy that they need, because it's rewiring. Now you have to rewire someone's brain who was taught that you have to survive by any means necessary. You can't trust anyone. You can't attach to anyone. And as in psychology, they say that you will tend to attract people that represent your parents. If you're a codependent, you're going to naturally attract a narcissist, because if you had a narcissistic parent, the type of attachment you had with your parent, you're going to end up developing that type of attachment with a narcissist. And if you're a narcissist, you're going to end up attracting a codependent, because just like yourself, the codependent lacks a sense of identity, and they also want that validation. They want that love. So they endured the same type of abuse that you did, only you were taught to shut off emotions. The codependent, however, either ended up having to parentify, which meant taking care of other siblings or doing other things in their childhood that really the adults should have been doing. They were able to carry empathy. And needless to say, a narcissist would attract the codependent, because the codependent is the people pleaser. They're the ones who are willing to do anything to make someone happy. In return, they're going to be given what they perceive as love. The narcissist is willing to take that because they're going to be getting all of that attention and that affection and everything that their parent never gave to them. But it all makes sense. You connect the dots, it all makes sense. The narcissist dealt with what they had to in their childhood with their parents, but because the parents instilled fear of abandonment and all types of issues, it left them on edge. It left them basically where, if I get too close, or if this just isn't resonating with me, or I'm not familiar with this type of territory, I'm going to back off because I don't know anything about it. Mind you, I don't make excuses for anyone. As adults, we have to learn to come to terms with right and wrong, okay? And at the end of the day, if someone's a narcissist and they want to spend the rest of their lives being in that dynamic, then again, I don't encourage people to stay in those type of dynamics. If that's who they want to be, if that's who they choose to be, they want to stay in denial, they don't want to get help, then that's on them, okay? You do not need to be dragged into any of that because you love them, because you are enamored with them, because you feel that maybe they can. If they are in denial, they're in denial. If they choose not to change, they choose not to change. And there's nothing you can say or do to change any of that. Unfortunately, I wish there were, but there isn't. Facts are facts. Well, everyone, I hope this video was helpful. I hope all of my content is helpful. And just, bear this in mind. You are not responsible. I'm going to say it again. You're not responsible for how other people were created, how other people were raised, how other people perceive things, how other people do things. You're not responsible for any of that. You're responsible for yourself and how you respond. You're responsible for yourself and how you may or may not have contributed to any kind of dynamics in your life, okay? That's what you're responsible for. You're responsible for you. That is it. All right. So I do hope the video helped. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. Okay. If there's anything else you want to add or any kind of feedback, please leave it in the comment section for me. All right. So until next time, guys, namaste.